Every year, on the night of October 31st, the world dresses in masks, lights glowing lanterns, and celebrates a holiday filled with mystery, fear, and fun. But Halloween was not always about candy and costumes. Long before it became a global celebration, it was a sacred night feared and respected by ancient people who believed the veil between the living and the dead had grown thin. In this story, we will journey back over 2,000 years to the misty lands of the ancient Celts, where Halloween was born as Samhain, a powerful turning point between light and darkness. We will follow its transformation through bonfires, spirits, Roman influence, church traditions, wandering legends, and immigration, until it becomes the Halloween we know today. This is not just the story of a holiday. It is the story of how fear became tradition, how darkness became celebration, and how an ancient belief survived by changing its face. Welcome to the true origin of Halloween. More than 2,000 years ago, in the mist-covered lands of ancient Ireland and Scotland, the Celtic people lived close to the rhythms of the earth. Their villages sat among forests and rolling hills, and their lives were ruled by the sun, the soil, and the changing seasons. To the Celts, the year was not counted in months but in light and darkness. Summer brought warmth, crops, and life, while winter brought cold, hunger, and death. The night of October 31st marked the great turning point between these two halves of the year, a moment when the bright season died and the dark season was born. They called this sacred night Samhain. As the final harvest was gathered and the fields stood bare, the Celts believed the world itself paused. On this night, the boundary between the living and the dead grew thin, like a veil that could be lifted by the wind. Shadows seemed longer, the air colder, and the silence heavier, as if unseen eyes were watching from just beyond the edge of the firelight. The Celts believed that during Samhain, spirits were free to walk the earth once more. Some were thought to be the souls of loved ones returning home, drifting gently through the villages in search of warmth and memory. Others, however, were darker beings, restless spirits, wandering creatures, and ancient forces that thrived in chaos and fear. These spirits were blamed for ruined crops, sickness, and sudden misfortune. To protect themselves, the people disguised their identities. They wore masks carved from wood, cloaks made from animal skins, and faces smeared with ash. By hiding their true selves, they hoped to confuse the spirits or scare them away entirely. Fires flickered in the distance as figures moved through the fog, half human and half shadow, blending into the night. What we now call Halloween costumes were born from this ancient fear of being seen by the unseen. As night fell, towering bonfires were lit on hilltops by the Druids, the spiritual leaders of the Celts. These fires were believed to hold great power. They pushed back the darkness, protected villages from evil, and honored the gods who controlled the seasons. People gathered around the flames, offering crops and animals in sacrifice, praying that the winter ahead would be kind. Samhain was also a night when the future could be glimpsed. With the spirit world so close, people believed secrets yet to come could be revealed. Stones were cast into the fire and read for meaning. Apples were used to predict love and fate, and dreams that night were believed to carry messages from beyond. The fire crackled, sparks rose into the sky, and the line between destiny and superstition disappeared. Centuries later, the Roman Empire marched into Celtic lands, bringing soldiers, roads, and new beliefs. Instead of erasing Samhain, the Romans slowly blended it with their own traditions. They added Feralia, a festival honoring the dead, and Pomona, the goddess of fruit and harvest. Apples, sacred to Pomona, became symbols of the season and later inspired games that survive to this day. Samhain changed, but it did not disappear. It adapted, absorbing new customs while keeping its core mystery alive. The night remained one of remembrance, transition, and quiet fear, even as new gods were named and new rituals formed. By the 8th century, Christianity had spread across Europe. To guide people away from pagan festivals, the Church declared November 1st as All Saints' Day, a time to honor holy souls, and November 2nd as All Souls' Day, dedicated to praying for the dead. The night before became known as All Hallows' Eve. Yet the old ways refused to vanish. People continued to light lanterns, dress in disguises, and walk the streets after dark. Poor villagers went from house to house asking for food in exchange for prayers for the dead, a tradition called souling, which slowly evolved into what we now call trick-or-treating. Beneath the prayers and church bells, the ancient heartbeat of Samhain still echoed. Among the Irish, a legend emerged of a man known as Stingy Jack, a trickster who outwitted the devil but paid a terrible price. When Jack died, heaven rejected him and hell refused him entry. The devil gave him a single burning coal to light his endless journey through the darkness. Jack placed the coal inside a hollowed turnip, creating a glowing lantern that drifted through the night. People carved their own lanterns to ward off Jack's wandering spirit and other restless souls. When Irish immigrants carried Halloween across the ocean to America in the 19th century, they discovered pumpkins large, bright, and easy to carve. The jack-o'-lantern as we know it was born. By the 20th century, Halloween had transformed. The spirits faded into stories, the fear softened into fun, and the night became a celebration of imagination. Children dressed as monsters without fear of becoming them. Lanterns glowed not as warnings but as invitations. Candy replaced offerings, and laughter replaced dread. Yet beneath the costumes, lights, and laughter, Halloween still carries its ancient soul. It remains a night when darkness is welcomed, when masks are worn, and when the past quietly walks beside the present. Halloween is not just a holiday. It is a story that never ended, only changed its costume. And so, what began as an ancient night of fear, fire, and spirits has become a celebration known across the world. Halloween is more than costumes and candy. It is a reminder that stories never truly disappear. They only change with time. Thank you for listening to this journey through the origin of Halloween. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next story.